Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Boxingwave. We're going to do a quick prediction video. Tszyu is going to be facing off against Sebastian Fundora. And I believe that this is the first PBC, Premier Boxing Champions Amazon card. And this is a pay-per-view. This was supposed to be Tszyu against Keith Thurman, but Keith suffered an injury, a bicep injury, and he's out of the fight. Now it changes everything because that fight was at a catch weight, I think a little right before the 154 weight limit, and no title was on the line. All right. I believe Tszyu is a WBO champion at 154. But now this is a unification match because now the WBC title is on the line too. The vacant title, which used to be Jamel Charlo's. All of the titles have been stripped or vacated for Jamel. And Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora is going to be fighting for two of the major titles. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this fight for a little bit. Now, I did make a video last week when the fight was announced, and I did say a lot of details. You know, I didn't go into deep in depth of how the fight was going to go, but I gave you my overall opinion about how the fight. Before, you know, I'm not going to go into, you know, I think I spoke more about Keith Thurman and his career and the build up and how we got there, and how I felt about the fight. Again, I was excited for the fight in the sense of seeing Keith back in the ring, but I wasn't excited about the timing and the division that he was facing and the opponent he was facing. I want to see Keith. I was hoping that after he beat what's his name, Mario Barrios, I thought that he was going to be more active. I'm sure he planned on being, you know, I know in the interviews that's all he was saying, that he's going to be, you know, more active, and he's back motivated. He had depression after losing to Manny Pacquiao and all this stuff. But now, you know, he's been married, you know, he's had he's settled down, and it felt like he was motivated. And then this happened, you know, and honestly, I didn't like this to be his comeback fight. Never seen him fight at 154. Again, he's not the KO artist that he used to be. He's not as explosive as he used to be. I do think he's past his prime. He's inactive. You know, he'll have a fight or two, and then he'll disappear for 2 to 3 years. So Keith Thurman has not been active for a long time. Not only that, but he's injury prone, right? Even when he was still in his prime, he was having injuries. You know, he had injury before the Sean Porter fight, which had to be postponed. You know, I remember the fight was going to originally be in Connecticut, and I was going to go to that fight back then, but it didn't happen. They postponed the fight. So look, I think this fight is, a better matchup. Let me just say that. Because Sebastian Fundora is proven at 154. Just not even 2 years ago. I'm talking about 2022, going into the last year. I was saying that this was one of the fights that need to happen. Any fight, I think the 2 or 3 top guys that I was looking at that wasn't a champion, like Jamel Charlo or Brian Castano, was Fundora. I was looking at Fundora. I was looking at Tszyu, and I was looking at Jesus Reyes. Those were the 3. I said that whatever way you want to match it up, we get it. And a lot has happened since then. You know, Fundora got knocked out. Tszyu went on a rampage, had a phenomenal year last year, just put himself to be the top guy. Brian Castano, lost to Jamel Charlo, got knocked out, and disappeared. You know, I don't even know if he's boxing anymore. Jamel Charlo went up to fight Canelo, lost, and he's inactive now. I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't even have the titles. So the way I'm looking at it, Jesus Reyes lost to Erickson Lubin. So it's like Tszyu right now is a top guy. If Fundora is coming off a knockout loss, he hasn't fought since he fought Brian Mendoza. You know, so it's been a year since then. So, and this is a replacement fight. This was a replace. This was what, 12 days, not even 2 weeks to prepare. You know, and this is a completely different fighter than Keith Thurman. So I don't know how the fights would have went. You know, if he had fought Keith, I think at least with Keith, I think Keith would have been difficult in ways in the sense that he's going to move. You know, he's going to move. He's more of a boxer. He's a boxer puncher. You know, I think he has a better IQ. He has a better defense. He has the better reflexes. Even an older version of him is going to bring certain things that Fundora is not going to have. Fundora 6'5", and he's fighting at 154. All right? He's tall, he's long, but he's not rangy. What do I mean? Is that he's long, but he's not rangy. He doesn't know how to control distance. He doesn't know how to just stick behind a jab from outside. You know, he doesn't have quick feet. He's a guy, he gets busy on the inside. Defensively, he's not good. He's very easy to hit. Body's easy to hit. Head is easy to hit. I think with him, he could be stylistically awkward. You know, I think before he fought Erickson Lubin, I don't think we knew. Like, I've been watching him for a minute, and I didn't think before the Lubin fight that he was better on the inside. You know, he's a volume puncher, and he likes to trade. But he was dropped by Lubin. Even though he won, he was dropped by Lubin. And he was knocked out by Mendoza, which was one of the best knockouts of the year last year. So it's a different kind of fight. But it's a good fight. I don't know what, you know, being that this is a last minute fight, I guess for Tszyu, it could be a little issue with him because, first of all, he hasn't fought, I don't know, as a pro. I don't know if as a pro level at all or not, whether or not he's fought any southpaws his whole pro career. I know not at the elite level. You know, the last several fights that he has is against top 154 guys, you know. Tony Harrison, Brian Mendoza, you know, Terrell Gaucher, guys that's been in there with, you know, top contenders or champion level guys, you know. I mean, even Carlos Ocampos, who is their common opponent, recent common opponent, by the way. You know, I think Carlos Ocampo fought Tszyu right after losing to Sebastian Fundora. Okay, nah. So Carlos Ocampo is a guy, we know he got knocked out by Spence years ago, but he was always active even after that Spence loss. Had like about 10 fights. Fought Sebastian Fundora. Lost a decision, but I saw the fight. It was a competitive fight, you know, but I think in that fight, this is a fight where I think Sebastian was really just trying to fight behind a jab, you know, keep Ocampos. I think this was a fight where he was trying to work on things, you know, and I think if Fundora came in with the approach where he wanted to quickly knock him out, I think he would have probably stopped Ocampos. Or is it Ocampos? Yeah, Ocampo. He probably would have stopped him, but, you know, he still clearly won the fight. I mean, not act like he was like losing, but at the end of the day, Tszyu went in there and destroyed him last year. Had one of the craziest knockouts of the year by knocking out Ocampo in one round. He blitzed him and just destroyed him, you know, right away. And again, that may not mean anything. He's fighting a guy that's 6'5". He's fighting a southpaw, and he didn't have a full camp to prepare for him. So the point that I was trying to make in my video when I brought this up last week is that even though Fundora is coming off of a knockout loss, he has the advantage of fighting guys similar height, you know, orthodox fighter. He has that, you know, he's the one that he's usually fighting shorter guys, you know what I mean? Whereas Tszyu didn't have a camp to prepare for a guy that's 6'5", a southpaw, and a completely different fighter than Keith Thurman or Tony Harrison or Brian Mendoza or Ocampo and Gaucher and all these other guys he fought. So that's the danger of the fight, you know? I don't think Fundora is more talented than Keith Thurman, but I think the fact that this fight is basically happening with no preparation Fundora's not coming off the couch, by the way, because Fundora was supposed to fight on the undercard against a journeyman. So he stepped in, and it makes things a little interesting. Now, I think Fundora or Tszyu, let me say Tszyu. Tszyu, I've covered him a good amount of times on his channel, and I think Tszyu is a pressure fighter that's not a high volume puncher. Okay, what I mean by that, he likes to counter with power shots. I think he's gotten a little better with his jab, but he's like a guy that comes straight forward with a high guard. All right, and I think that could be a problem with maybe a Terrence Crawford, which will happen if he is to win this fight. But coming in with that high guards worked for them, because he's such an explosive counterpuncher, and a very powerful, heavy-handed one. He has good angles, you know what I mean? Good punch selection, and it makes guys, these good boxers that know how to know how to move on a back foot well, or even know how to counter. He puts them in a position where they have to worry about making a mistake. They have to be extremely cautious against him, and Fundora's not that. No matter how much he tries to be. I think Fundora, now that he's gotten this opportunity, he just needs to go for it. He can't think too much. He doesn't have the ability to get out of the way of all these punches. Tszyu, again, fighting the southpaw that's that tall, I don't know how it may change things, because he has to punch up. But I don't think Fundora is that hard to find. He's there to get hit, and he does his best work on the inside, and that's exactly where Tim wants to be too, and unlike Erickson Lubin, we are aware that Fundora wants to be there. I think Fundora, I remember watching that fight with Lubin. Lubin had a clean first round, outboxing him. He made the mistake by sitting in the pocket with a guy that he had no idea was that good on the inside. He took a lot of damage in that round, and that's one of those fights that I think if Lubin had a different strategy, he might have won the fight. He just took too much damage early, so it didn't matter even if you knocked him down, But Fundora, you got to remember, he is coming off of the loss to a fight that I thought he was winning every round against Brian Mendoza. He just caught a good shot. And I think Tim is probably even a bigger puncher, more devastating puncher. And, he doesn't like to waste too many punches. And I think it would probably even be easier for Tim because now Tim doesn't have to hunt him down. I think when Tim gets hit, it's because he's usually being too aggressive, too squared at times. But now he's fighting someone that's going to come right at him. So he can pick and choose when he wants to be in range. And this is why I have him winning. I think he's going to get a knockout. I know there's a lot of questions. And Fundora, should he even be still fighting at 154? If he gets knocked out again, I think it's time to move up, man. Maybe, I don't know if he's drained, but maybe being 6'5", 154, maybe that has a lot to do with you getting chinned, Put some weight in. You probably should be fighting at 168, and still having a crazy height advantage. He's naturally a skinny guy. His sister has pretty much the same kind of, even though she's much shorter, she's still tall, very tall, and very slim. All right, but I think Tim is going to be too much. Fundora is a volume puncher. There's just too many openings for him to catch one from Tim, and I think Tim is going to stop him. I think the fight should be fun. I think Sebastian Fundora needs to go straight at them. When we seen Tim knocked down, it was in the first rounds. I've seen him twice. An older fight, and with Terrell to Cashapp, I think the best time to go at Tim is in the first round when he's still trying to figure you out. That's the way to go. Fundora should come out really aggressive and try to take a quick lead. All right. But yeah, I think Tim, a lot of options there. He can go to the body, go to the chin. Fundora, again, very easy target to hit. He's all offense, not much defense. All right. So anyway, I have Tim getting the stoppage. I really think that the fight, I don't see it going past 7. All right. But that's my prediction. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Please subscribe and all that. Like the video, share the video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Oh, this fight, did I tell you guys this fight is on PBC pay-per-view this Saturday, March 30th. All right. I won't be here to cover because I'm going to be in London. So I'm not going to be able to cover the fight with you guys. Unless I'm going out and partying and I end up coming back. I know their time, they're 5 hours ahead. So by the time this fight starts, I might wake up and just jump on. All right. So I might, but let's see. It depends on the Wi-Fi and all that out there. All right. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Peace.